My coworker keeps escalating romantic attention despite me repeatedly saying I'm not ready, follows me at social events, makes me feel pressured into affection, and I'm embarrassed to be seen as together with him. How do I assert myself and end this without being painted as the bad guy? Long story short, my coworker, 21 male, asked me out back in June. I'm 20 female, and before that moment, I had never really been asked out by someone I genuinely got along with. Honestly, I'd barely been asked out at all. I've always been the weird kid, the quiet one, the awkward one, the one who floated on the edges of social groups and learned early on to make peace with being overlooked. Romance felt like something theoretical, something that happened in movies or to other people, not to me. So when it actually happened, I didn't know what to do with myself. I remember feeling excited, flattered, confused, and terrified all at once. He told me during our shift that he had a little gift for me and asked if he could walk me out to my car afterward. Looking back, I can admit that part made me uncomfortable. It was dark, the parking lot was mostly empty, and I was suddenly very aware that I was alone with a guy who had just confessed interest in me. But that discomfort got drowned out by disbelief. Someone wanted to walk me to my car. Someone had a gift for me. Someone liked me enough to ask me out. I think the novelty of that overwhelmed my instincts. I've always known that I don't experience attraction the way a lot of people seem to. I don't get instant crushes or sparks. I don't look at someone and immediately want to date them or kiss them. I need time. I need emotional closeness, trust, familiarity. I need to feel safe and connected before anything romantic makes sense. I later learned about demisexuality, and that label clicked in a way nothing else ever had. So in my head, I told myself, maybe if I spend more time with him, I'll figure it out. Maybe attraction is something that grows for me. I didn't want to shut something down just because I was inexperienced or scared. So I said yes. We started hanging out here and there. If I'm being honest, though, most of the hanging out happened because he kept asking. He wanted to see me at least once a week. At first, that felt kind of nice. I'd never had someone be that consistent about wanting my time. He complimented me constantly, called me pretty, sweet, special. No one had ever really done that before. I didn't realize how starved I was for that kind of validation until I suddenly had it.
He was kind to me.
Attentive. Insecure, yes, but clearly trying. And part of me appreciated that. I've always been afraid of relationships because I didn't want to be used, especially physically. I didn't want someone pretending to care just to get access to my body. So it mattered to me that we aligned on a lot of values like women's rights and basic respect. He talked a lot about wanting me to be comfortable. He told me he'd move at whatever pace I needed. At the same time, though, he wanted labels. He wanted certainty. He wanted to call me his girlfriend. I told him very clearly that I didn't want to commit to that. I said I wasn't promising anything. I told him I didn't want to lead him on, especially since I'm going abroad for school soon. I explained that I just wanted to get to know him and see how I felt. This was after about a month of knowing each other, and I felt like I was being honest and fair. He said he understood. But it was obvious, painfully obvious, how much he liked me. Everyone at work knew. Co-workers would tease us or give me looks like it was only a matter of time before we were official. That pressure made everything feel heavier. Like my uncertainty was something I needed to fix quickly. After only a handful of hangouts, there was a moment that still makes my stomach twist when I think about it. We were sitting in my car after one of our nights together. The hangout was clearly over. We were talking, but there was that thick, end-of-the-night silence where something is expected to happen. Then he asked if he could kiss me. I didn't really want to, but I'd been stressing over my first kiss for years. I'd built it up in my head as this huge, terrifying milestone, something that proved you were normal, desirable, grown up. And in that moment, my thought process wasn't, do I want this? It was more like, I should just get it over with. He was a decent guy. He liked me. This was what people did.
So I said yes.
I didn't like it. It wasn't magical. It wasn't exciting. It didn't even feel comforting. It felt awkward and hollow and wrong in a way I didn't know how to describe. I remember thinking, is this it? Is this what everyone makes such a big deal about? And I still don't know why I did this, but I asked him to do it again. I've replayed that moment in my head so many times, trying to understand myself. Maybe I was in shock. Maybe I thought I'd done it wrong the first time. Maybe I was hoping the feeling would suddenly appear if I tried again. Maybe I was frozen and defaulted to going along with what was expected of me. Whatever the reason, it didn't change anything. The second kiss didn't feel better. It just confirmed the discomfort. We hung out one more time at his place before I left. It was meant to be casual, just us talking like we usually do. At some point, he asked if he could kiss me again. I said yes, even though I already felt that familiar knot of discomfort in my chest. I didn't know how to explain it to him, or even to myself. It wasn't fear exactly, and it wasn't that he was doing anything wrong. It just didn't feel right in my body, and I ignored that feeling because I didn't want to be difficult or confusing. He asked again later, and again I said yes. Each time felt a little worse, like I was inching further away from myself. The fourth time he asked, I laughed instead. I didn't lean in. I didn't pull away either. I just stayed where I was. He asked again, gently, the way he asks everything. Is that okay? I shook my head no. He immediately said that was fine, that it was okay, that he just wanted me to be comfortable. And honestly, that part was nice. I appreciated that he respected it. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I shouldn't have had to get that far in the first place. I left feeling relieved, but also unsettled. While I was away, the dynamic didn't really ease up. If anything, it intensified. He constantly wanted to call me. He stayed up incredibly late, sometimes all night because of the time zone difference, just so we could talk. He asked about my day every single time in detail. What I did, how I felt, what I was thinking. I noticed that I barely asked back. Not because I didn't care about him, but because it didn't come naturally to me in the way it seemed to for him. Talking to him started to feel like something I had to keep up with, something I needed to maintain carefully so I didn't hurt him. I enjoy him as a friend. That's the part that makes this so confusing. We can talk for hours. He's genuinely funny. He's thoughtful. He listens. But then he'll pivot and start talking about how gorgeous I am, how special I am, how lucky he feels, and my stomach just drops. I feel uncomfortable in a way I can't quite justify. I don't feel flattered. I feel watched. Like there's an expectation attached to every compliment. And that's what messes with my head the most. On paper, he checks all the boxes. He's nice. He's respectful. He's not unattractive. He shares my values. I always thought that if someone met the important criteria, attraction would follow. That I'd grow into it. But being away and thinking back on our hangouts, I started realizing something I didn't want to admit. I really didn't want anything more. I didn't miss him romantically. I didn't feel pulled toward him. I felt relieved by the distance. At some point while I was gone, he called me and asked outright if I was interested in dating when I got back. The question itself confused me. In my head, what we were doing already felt like dating, even though I had tried to keep it undefined. I told him I wasn't sure. He said he'd rather try and have it fail than not try at all. That logic didn't make sense to me. Why would I agree to something I already felt unsure about just to see it collapse? But I was caught off guard. I was stressed, exhausted, juggling school, travel, and everything else in my life. I panicked. I said something vague, something non-committal. I told him we could talk about it when I got home, that I wasn't ready for that conversation yet. During that same call, he told me something else that made me uneasy. He said he was worried because I wasn't very responsive to the things he said over text, that it bothered him. Then he quickly backtracked and said he knew he had no right to ask that of me if we weren't together. But the fact that it bothered him was still out there hanging between us. I didn't know what to do with that. I already felt stretched thin. Now I felt like my texting habits were being monitored, like my availability was something I was failing at. I got home recently. It's been 4 days. In that time, he's bought things for me, even after I explicitly told him to stop buying me things. I had to tell him to stop sending me money. That crossed a line I didn't know how to articulate without sounding ungrateful. He told me he was feeling anxious because we hadn't seen each other yet, because I hadn't planned a day for us to hang out. It's been 4 days. I'm jet-lagged. I'm catching up on school. I'm seeing family. And yet I feel like I'm already behind on meeting his needs. The way he phrases everything is so gentle, so careful, that I find myself doubting my own reactions. He sounds sincere. He sounds genuine. And that's what makes it worse. Because despite how nicely everything is worded, the situation feels off. Heavy. Like there's a quiet pressure I can't name. I find myself asking why a lot, or brushing things off, or deflecting, because I don't know how to confront a feeling that doesn't come with a neat explanation. I don't think he's trying to be manipulative. I don't think he's a bad person. But I also don't feel comfortable. And I'm starting to realize that being uncomfortable, even when someone is kind, still matters. I just don't know how to honor that without hurting someone who hasn't technically done anything wrong. My final straw was going to a work holiday party tonight. I didn't tell him I was going because I honestly thought it would be funny to surprise him. Nothing malicious, nothing secretive. I just imagined showing up, saying hi, maybe sharing a laugh about it. When I arrived, he got so excited. People immediately started joking about how he was going to tweak out when he saw me, how obvious it was that he liked me. I laughed it off, but almost immediately I felt that familiar pit in my stomach. He would not stop following me. And I don't mean sticking close in a normal, friendly way. I mean I would actively walk away to talk to other friends, people I hadn't seen in a while, and he would trail behind me. Every time I shifted my body away from him, he leaned closer. Every time I leaned away, he leaned in again. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I wasn't trying to avoid him entirely. I just wanted space. But it felt like I couldn't get any. I started feeling hyper-aware of my movements, of where I stood,
Of who I talked to.
of how it might look if I laughed too hard with someone else. I hated that feeling. I hated that I felt like I was being watched, even though I don't think that was his intention. It just felt suffocating. When it was time to leave, I got into my friend's car. We said our goodbyes. I barely even looked at him. He said bye, walked away, and I thought that was it. Then, as my friend is literally pulling the car out of the parking lot, he comes back from his car, waves us down, and asks me for a hug. I groaned. Out loud. I whined. I didn't even try to hide it. And still, I got out of the running car to give him a hug. I didn't want to. I felt pressured. I felt trapped. I hugged him quickly and got back in the car, feeling mortified. Completely exposed. My friend smiled and said she approved of us as we drove away. I just said I was tired. She assumed I meant jet lag. I wasn't tired from traveling. I was tired of this. And that's when it really hit me. I was embarrassed to be perceived as together with him. That realization made my chest drop. Not because he's awful. Not because he's done anything blatantly wrong. But because I don't feel proud or excited or happy about the idea of us.
I feel weighed down by it.
So now I don't know what to do. I've tried to explain that I'm not ready.
I've said it gently.
I've said it honestly.
But I don't think it's landing.
I think I need to be more assertive, and that scares me. I feel like such a bitch even thinking about it because he's so nice. He's considerate. He asks consent. He respects my no in the moment. And yet everything still feels wrong. It's too much. The attention. The gifts. The constant checking in. The anxiety he has when I don't respond quickly or don't make plans. I don't know what relationships are supposed to feel like, but I don't think they're supposed to make you feel cornered or guilty or panicked all the time. I just want him to be my friend.
Truly.
I enjoy talking to him. I like who he is as a person. But I don't want anything romantic, and I'm starting to think he doesn't actually hear that. Whenever I say he seems obsessed, he insists he isn't. Maybe obsessed isn't the right word, but whatever this is, it's overwhelming. I feel like I've dug myself into a hole by not being firmer earlier. I keep thinking, if I just explain it better, if I soften it enough, if I'm careful enough, it'll resolve itself. But it's not resolving. It's escalating. I want to text him about it because I'm terrible with words in real time. I panic. I freeze. I end up conceding and agreeing to things I don't actually want because I don't know how to hold my ground in the moment. But texting feels cowardly. And complicated. And final. He still has gifts for me that he wants to give me. And I hate to admit this, but part of me still kind of wants them. Not because I want him, but because I've never been doted on like this before, and that attention is hard to let go of, even when it's too much. He wants to spend more time together. I told him I'm booked for the next week, which is true. He said even a quick meetup is fine. That alone made my chest tighten. I don't know how to make it stop without blowing everything up. I don't know how to assert myself without feeling cruel. I don't know how to trust that my discomfort is reason enough to draw a line. I just know that I feel wrong, overwhelmed, and stuck, and I don't want this to continue.